Here they come. Let's see. I want to let Gregory in first. Let's practice with him. They will pay. Good morning, everybody. It is so good to be here with you in the blanket fort. Sorry about the technical difficulties earlier. I am so happy you guys are here today. Privyet, good morning, friends in Moscow, and hello to friends in Toronto too. Thanks for joining us. Do you know what I'm doing in here? It is really, really challenging. I have all this frog stuff here in my apartment and in the blanket fort, and Isadora, my cat, said, I need to get rid of it all. She says, you have too much frog stuff, Gregory. There's too much stuff here. Like, I don't know. I'm trying to find a place to put it all. I've got a frog nutcracker here. I got to figure out what to do with it. I've got, this is like a bookend. This is like a frog skeleton. You know what happens is when you tell people you like something, you know what they do? They give it to you. They give you tons of something. I once mentioned that I liked frogs. And, oh, sorry. And people keep giving me frogs. I've got big frogs and tiny little itty bitty frog. My friend Robin gave me these tiny bitty itty frogs. There's a jingle frog. I don't know even where. And this one is gigantic. It's like a frog lawn ornament. There's just like a clown car of frog stuff going on here. Tiny little frog here. Oh, this one's valuable. You know what this one does? This one's from Hawaii. Listen. Ooh, makes kind of a froggy noise. And frog noises, and frogs in general, put me in mind of some really wonderful frog stories. Do you guys know any frog stories? Oh, I think we need to tell some frog tales. I'm gonna open my screen up just a little bit bigger so I can see more of you. Hey, everybody. All right. When it comes to frog stories, it helps if we go to one special place. It's called Frog's Hollow. Would you like to go there with me? All right, if you want to go to Frog's Hollow, we need to remember what frogs do. What do frogs do? They ribbit, and they jump. So I need to see some frogs. When I see some frogs, we will go to Frog's Hollow. It is a very special part of the Fable Forest. And if you listen very closely, you will hear the singing of the frogs. Woo-hoo! They are loud today. So now I'm gonna tell my I'm gonna try to, guys, can you, quiet! Oh, those frogs are so loud. Another thing I just found, it's a golden ball and a golden crown, which puts me in mind of a very famous story called, The Frog Prince. Now, this story begins in Frog's Hollow, which is where we are now. And there were a bunch of frogs there, living in happiness, merriment, and joy. Oh, there's the Delfrogio sisters. Great singers, you should check out their act sometimes. The frogs here have band leading. They have dance parties. Everyone in Frog's Hollow is very, very happy, right? And there's even a governing body. And if you'll notice, the governing body of Frog's Hollow, they all have golden balls. In fact, everyone in Frog's Hollow who finds their special purpose receives a beautiful, sparkling golden ball. And this is the story of how that tradition began. It began with my good friend. He's over there. His name is Jeremiah. He was a bullfrog, very good friend of mine. And Jeremiah had big, big dreams, right? Jeremiah dreamed of going to the big castle, having a big fancy dinner at the big fancy castle, attending the ball at the big fancy castle, and being treated like a somebody and not just a frog. He said, I want to be treated well. So he would tell his friend the fairy, I want a fancy dinner, I want to go to a ball, and I want to be treated like a somebody. And she was like, you want to be treated like a prince, it sounds like. And he was like, yeah, a prince. That's what I want. And sometimes he would even wear gold crowns on his head to pretend he was a prince, because that's what frogs do sometimes. Now, the fairy said to him, you know, Jeremiah, just over the grassy knoll is a castle, and in that castle is a king by the name of Midas. King Midas had the magic touch, the golden touch. Everything he touched, they said, would turn to gold. And one person in the castle who was so privileged to be benefiting from all this gold was his beautiful young daughter, the princess. Now, in some versions of the story, her name is Melora. I don't know. In one version, her name is Kalora. I don't know why that's the sound of her name always. But the point is, she was a bit disappointed in life. She was a bit sassy. She'd been given everything she'd ever wanted in her life. And she found that that left her having very few ambitions. But her favorite thing to do was to take her precious golden ball that her father had given her and go outside and play with her golden ball. And she would take that golden ball, and you know what she would do with it? She would throw it at the pigeons. She would throw it at ducks. She was disappointed in life, so she was taking it out on everybody else, and she wasn't very pleasant to be around. And one day, she was throwing her golden ball around, and guess what? Plop, it landed right in the water. And she was like, no, I need that golden ball. It's supposed to match the dress that I'm wearing later tonight for the big party. I don't know what. Someone please help me get my ball back. And who do you think came to help her get her ball back? Of course it was a giraffe. No, it wasn't a giraffe. It was a three-toed sloth? No. It was Jeremiah, the bullfrog. Jeremiah was like, I will swim down and I will get the golden ball to help the princess. But he wanted to level with her first and have a conversation. He was like, hey, princess, I can help you. I'm a strong swimmer. I can swim right down to the bottom and get that golden ball for you. What do you think? And she's like, yeah, get my ball for me, go. And he was like, cool that you're a princess. He wanted to start a conversation, right? He's like, I've always wanted to meet a princess, and I've always wanted, what? To go to the castle and have a fancy dinner, to go to a fancy ball and be treated like a prince. And she was like, yeah, I'll make all that happen for you. Please get me my ball. So down into the water he goes. He gets the golden ball and he brings it back up onto the land for her, and he gives it to her right away. And he's like, wow, this is great. You get your golden ball back and I get all the things I've ever dreamed of. Thank you, princess. And she's like, yeah, give me my ball. And guess what she does? She takes that ball from him and she runs off. See ya. Wouldn't want to be ya. Takes her golden ball and runs away. And Jeremiah's like, nice to meet you, bye. And she was gone, just like that. And he was kind of sad. He's like, man, for a minute there, I really thought I was gonna get to go to the fancy dinner and the fancy party and do all these fancy things. So he goes back to Frog's Hollow. He talks to his friend, the fairy, and she's like, maybe you misunderstood, Jeremiah. You need to advocate for yourself. I think you should go to the castle and tell them that you're here for the dinner and the ball and all the things that you dream of. And he was like, yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm sure it was a misunderstanding. So what does he do? He knocks on the door. There's Jeremiah knocking on the door. Oh, I need to move this big box that's in the way. Sorry. He's knocking on the door of the castle, right? They open the door and he's like, hey, everybody, it's me. It's me, the bullfrog, and I am here to have a fancy dinner, to go to a fancy party, and be treated like a prince. And the princess had completely forgotten that he was gonna come. And she was in her golden dress that matched her golden ball for the golden party. And her father, King Midas, was like, daughter, is this true? Did you invite this frog to our castle? And she's like, yes, father, I did. And what commences is the most awkward dinner party you've ever seen. She's slowly sipping her soup, and Jeremiah's like, ooh, food. And he goes crazy eating the mashed potatoes. He's used to eating flies. This was a real treat for him. Mashed potatoes, ooh, and meatballs. He loves meatballs. All kinds of delicious food. And the princess is just like, oh, gewalt. The next thing we know, it's time for the big party. You've heard of golden balls, right? This is a golden celebration. And Jeremiah's dream is coming true. He gets to dance at a ball in a fancy frock coat. The music isn't great, but he's having a pretty good time. And then he heads outside to get a breath of air, and he sees his friend, the fairy. And she's like, Jeremiah, how's it going in there? Your dream is coming true. And he's like, yeah, my dream is coming true, but now I don't know. Maybe my dream is changing. It isn't everything I expected it to be. I mean, it's nice to be treated like a prince and all, but I don't know. My dreams are changing. So they invite the frogs from Frog's Hollow to come in and play some music because it's all very entertaining. And he has a great conversation with King Midas, who was like, I've got all these golden balls that I make and I don't know what to do with them. And Jeremiah's like, I've got an idea. Now, he and the princess start to have a real moment here. They're having a conversation. They decide to go outside and have a walk. They got off on the wrong foot, and they realize that they have more in common than they thought they did. She's feeling a bit of wanderlust. She wants to go out and adventure, and she's got this golden ball that her father gave her, and the golden ball symbolizes that she's found her special purpose. But she doesn't feel like she's found it really. And Jeremiah, the frog, is like, maybe my special purpose wasn't to come to the castle. Maybe my special purpose is to keep on looking for my special purpose. And when the princess heard that, she realized that Jeremiah was very wise, and she gave him her golden ball. Some people say she gave him a smooch. That's what some people say, but I had heard different. I did not hear that she kissed the frog. They say she kissed him, he turned into a handsome young man. I say no. I say, how do you make a frog a prince? Easy. You treat him with the respect he deserves. And Jeremiah certainly deserves respect, doesn't he? And Jeremiah, to this day, is still celebrated in the castle. You can see his portrait on the wall right over there. And then Jeremiah got to thinking, maybe I don't want to be a frog prince. Maybe I want to be a frog fairy. Ha-ha! And that's my version of the story of the Frog Prince. And we have more stories to tell today too. We have short stories today. But first, I'm wondering if you guys know much about frogs. Do you guys know what color frogs usually are? What do you guys think? I'm looking to see if you know. What color are frogs? What do you think, Mila and Liv? All right, who's saying green? If you're saying frogs are green, yeah? Green! You guys think they're green? Well, I have news for you. Guess what? They can also be rainbow colors. These are called poison dart frogs. That's right, that's what they're called. Yeah.
Mr. Gregory, I actually think they're green.
Who says that? Someone says they're green.
Rebecca, I believe.
Rebecca says they're
And
green.
Sophia is raising her hand.
Sophia. Is Sophia unmuted?
She'll have to unmute herself.
Gotcha. Sorry, Jeff.
Cannot unmute her. Here we go. Sophia, you can speak.
Hi, Sophia.
Talk.
Sophia, what color are frogs usually?
Green.
They're usually green, right? Did you know, Sophia, that there are rainbow-colored frogs? Did you know that? There are indeed. What color frogs do you see, Sophia? Do you see a purple frog?
No.
No. Do you see a red one? Yeah, there's a red frog. Cool. And Sophia, tell me something. What do frogs do very, very well? Do you know? You can ask your sister.
Jump.
They jump, right? So Sophia says frogs jump. Can we all do some jumping? Let's all start to jump a little bit. Let me see your frog jump. You got to start really low and up you go.
That is a good jumping there.
Good jumping. Who's doing some jumping?
Clarice is jumping. Vivi's jumping.
I see. Vivian, can you jump? Yeah, let me see you jump.
Yeah.
Who can jump the highest?
I see Maddox is jumping.
Nice. My friends in
jumping.
You guys jump.
Oh,
Jump.
there goes Landon. And Lexi's jumping. Alina's jumping.
Oh, that is fun. All right, my friends, we're gonna settle our bodies now for another quick tale about frogs. Do frogs have tails? Of course they do. I just told you one. This one is one of my favorites. You guys might recognize these friends. These are my good friends, Frog and Toad. Frog and Toad are so good to each other. They are such good friends, and they do so many fun things together. They ride scooters together. They slowly go down crazy hills together, and they love to be together. But one day, did you know, Frog, who's usually the happy, cheerful one, and Toad, who can be a little pessimistic, they were gonna hang out one day, and Frog decided that he wanted to be alone. Toad went to Frog's house, and he found a note on the door. The note said, "Dear Toad, I am not at home. I went out. I want to be alone." "Alone," said Toad. "Frog has me for a friend. Why does he want to be alone?" Toad looked through the windows. He looked in the garden, and he did not see Frog. Toad went to the woods. Frog was not there. He went to the meadow. Frog was not there. Then Frog went down to the river. There, Toad went down to the river, sorry. There was Frog. He was sitting on an island all by himself. Poor Frog, said Toad. He must be very sad. I will cheer him up. Toad ran home. He made sandwiches. He made a pitcher of iced tea, and he put everything in a basket. Toad hurried back to the river. Frog, he shouted, it's me. It's your best friend, Toad. Frog was too far away to hear. Toad took off his jacket and waved it like a flag. Frog was too far away to see. Toad shouted and waved. Hey! Oh, but it was no use. He did not see or hear Toad.
I don't see it a big difficulty.
A turtle swam by. Toad climbed on the turtle's back. Turtle, said Toad, carry me to the island. Frog is there. He wants to be alone. If Frog wants to be alone, said the turtle, why don't you leave him alone? Maybe you're right, said Toad. Maybe Frog does not want to see me. Maybe he does not want me to be his friend anymore. Yes, maybe, said the turtle as he swam to the island. Frog, cried Toad, I am sorry for all the silly things I do. I'm sorry for all the silly things I say. Please be my friend again. And then Toad slipped off the turtle with a splash, whoosh, right into the river. Frog pulled Toad onto the island. Toad looked in the basket. The sandwiches were wet. The pitcher of iced tea was empty. Our lunch is spoiled, said Toad. I made it for you, Frog, so that you would be happy. But Toad, said Frog, I am happy. I am very happy. This morning when I woke up, I felt good because the sun was shining. I felt good because I was a frog. And I felt good because I have you for a friend. I wanted to be alone. I wanted to think about how fine everything is. Oh, said Toad, I guess that is a very good reason for wanting to be alone. Now, said Frog, I will be glad not to be alone. Let's eat our lunch. Frog and Toad stayed on the island all afternoon. They ate wet sandwiches without iced tea. They were two close friends sitting alone together. Do you guys ever feel like being alone? I know I do sometimes. It's one of the reasons I like to go to my blanket fort. But remember too, moms and dads and brothers and sisters and grandparents, everybody needs to be alone sometimes. It doesn't mean that somebody doesn't want to be with you or doesn't love you. It just means maybe they need a little time to themselves. And when they've had that time, of course, they'll want to be with you again. Sometimes it's hard to remember that, but alone can be a very good thing. And you can find alone time in your own home by building a blanket fort or finding a little space for yourself, right? Sticking his tongue out at me. All right, friends, we have time for a quick poem. Are you ready for a frog poem? Miss Frog went in the kitchen to bake some apple pies. The little frogs were watching with hunger in their eyes. Miss Frog went in the kitchen to make a sugar bun. The little frogs were waiting until the bun was done. But when the stuff was finished and cooling on the shelf, Miss Frog cried, "Go away right now," and she ate them all herself. And that, my friends, is the end of our Frog Day here at Frog Hollow. I hope you enjoyed hearing some crazy frog stories. Did you like that? If you like frog stories, let me see you give a little frog bounce. All right, friends. And before we leave today, I want to acknowledge some beautiful artwork that friends have sent me. I want to introduce some of you to my good friend, Marta. Marta has drawn a beautiful piece of artwork that I'd love to share with you. I'm going to show you now. I don't know if you can see it, but it's a beautiful castle. I see a princess, probably a prince here, and lots of really beautiful details. Well done, Marta. Let's give her a little round of applause. Round of applause for creating such beautiful artwork to share with us. If you have artwork or stories to share, you can email me, gregory@hopscotchmontessori.com. And now that we're back in the frog swamp, I think I should leave all these frog things here. Maybe the other frogs will enjoy them. Thank you all for a wonderful time at Forest Fables. And I think we can unmute friends and everyone can say hello to each other.
All right, here we go. I'm going to unmute First, before I mute, I want to say thank you all for joining us for another Forest Fable. And here we go.
Thank you, Mr. Gregory.
Well, before we like the frog stories. Whoa. Frog stuff, too much frog stuff. Oh, I'll give it to Dora.
Mr. Gregory. Bye.
Emma, hi, Eli.
Goodbye.
Hello, friend.
I miss Amanda.
Everybody, see you tomorrow.
I don't think it's
Another Jackie story tomorrow.
I was jumping around in here earlier.
Frogs are green.
All right, we'll see you all later. Remember, we have art today with Miss Amanda.
Following you.
This is my house. That are round.
Circular in your house. Flat. Yeah. Yeah.
Here.
Yeah.
So today for art, this is your hint.
Look at bottom on the screen.
Like a sphere. All right, goodbye, everybody.
Bye.